I never wanted to be seen as weak. For most of my life, I wore strength like armor, the kind of strength that came from long work hours, volunteering for every ministry role, and holding my family together no matter what. People looked at me and said, "You're so strong," and I believed them. I thought my value to God and to the world was in how much I could carry. But all of that came crashing down the year my health failed. It started with small things: fatigue that didn't go away, pain in my joints, mornings when I couldn't get out of bed without help. I told myself it was just stress, but the diagnosis was far more than I was ready to hear. A chronic condition with no cure, only management. My life as I knew it was over. At first, I fought it. I pushed through the exhaustion, determined to keep every commitment. But my body kept breaking down, and with it, my sense of worth. I withdrew from church activities. I stopped answering messages. I couldn't bear for anyone to see me like this. Fragile, dependent, not the person they remembered. One afternoon, I sat in the corner of my bedroom with the blinds drawn, clutching my Bible but unable to open it. I whispered, "God, if you're going to leave me like this, what's the point of my life?" Somewhere deep inside, I felt a nudge, not a loud voice, but a steady pull. I opened the Bible to 2 Corinthians 12, and my eyes landed on verse 9. "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." I had read that verse before, but now it felt personal, almost like Jesus was sitting with me in that dark room, telling me I didn't have to pretend anymore, that His power didn't depend on my performance, my stamina, or my ability to keep it all together. It could shine right through my brokenness. I wrestled with that for weeks. Everything in me wanted to get back to the old me, the strong, capable, always available version. But God kept showing me moments that revealed a different kind of strength. When I couldn't cook dinner, friends brought meals and prayed over me in my kitchen. When I couldn't drive, a neighbor offered rides and ended up sharing her own story of loss and faith. When I was too weak to stand in worship, I found myself crying, not out of sadness, but because I felt God's presence more deeply sitting in that pew than I ever had on my feet. It dawned on me, my weakness was giving other people permission to step in, to serve, to share their own struggles. In my most vulnerable moments, the walls between us crumbled. I was no longer the strong one people admired from a distance. I was a fellow traveler, walking a hard road, and finding God's strength there. Months later, I was asked to speak at a women's group. My first reaction was to say no. I didn't have a story tied up with a bow. I was still tired. I was still sick. But I remembered Paul's words that came after verse 9. "Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me." So I stood in front of those women and told the truth. I told them about the nights I cried myself to sleep, the prayers that felt unanswered, and the days I still wished for my old life. But I also told them how God had met me in those moments, through His Word, through His people, and through a peace that made no sense on paper. When I finished, several women came up with tears in their eyes. I thought I was the only one. One said. Another whispered, "If God can use you like this, maybe He can still use me." That's when I realized my weakness wasn't just something to endure. It was a platform for God's glory. He hadn't wasted it. He was using it to reach people I never could have touched from a place of self-sufficiency. I'm still not the person I used to be. My calendar is lighter. My energy comes and goes, and some days are harder than others. But I don't see weakness as failure anymore. I see it as the place where God's grace flows the fullest. I thought strength meant carrying everything on my own. Now I know strength is letting God carry me. Share and comment this if you believe God's power shines brightest through our weaknesses.